Is an airline career not for you? Want the freedom of a business that it gives you to be able to come in at any time you want? You know, you should be one that considers aviation entrepreneurship. You know, joining me today is Eric Crump to talk about the Aerospace Center for Excellence and also here at Elevate, which is actually our new office space here. So if you're an aviation entrepreneur or you want to be one, this is the place to check out. Welcome to the show, Eric. This is awesome. Our first actually video podcast.
I know. It's like welcome back to the show.
Absolutely.
I was on like episode 150 something, and now we're in the 300s, almost 400s. It's been a minute since I've been on ACP, so I'm glad to be back.
No, it's great to have you back. As a matter of fact, for those that are on YouTube, I'd like to hear from you what you think about us recording in the studio like this, because normally we do this online.
Yeah, they're all very disappointed. They're like, we thought Eric was more attractive. Like his voice made him sound so much more attractive than he is in real life.
You know, they always tell me that I don't look like my voice.
You have a voice for radio, Carl.
And I have, and people think I'm younger until they see my picture on YouTube.
I have never thought that.
Well, as you can tell, this is going to be a lot of fun because Eric and I love to joke about everything in life, and Eric is quite the comedian, and I really appreciate you stopping by today.
If you're not having fun, why are you doing it?
Absolutely. Before we get started, I know everybody asks about the scholarships guide, and it's been flying off the shelves.
We
have no pun intended. Is right. As a matter of fact, it's not even on the shelves; it's electronic. But so it was quite the pun. You know, we do have a new sponsor. It's actually Tailwind Waymakers. Tailwind Waymakers is a nonprofit organization that helps fund aviation dreams. They actually give away scholarships to fund the whole whatever it is, private, instrument, commercial, maybe even your whole career as far as aviation is concerned. What they're doing is they're giving away actually an airplane to do that. It's pretty amazing. But what they're doing for us is they're giving away scholarships guides. They're giving away 50 of them. And you can use that coupon code, Tailwind Waymakers. You can see it on the screen, or else you can go in the show notes. You know why? Because like we were talking about before, it's really tough to actually say that word, Tailwind Waymakers. TailwindWaymakers.org is where you can find
3 times fast
information. I think it's really cool. A lot of people think, like, how can they do that? But it's just like in any other instance where you can actually give away something by having to either donate it or get enough people as far as memberships. And that's how it works. You become a member and it enters you.
Well, it's paying it forward. You're giving it back.
Absolutely.
It's awesome stuff. That's why I do this. It's why you do it.
Absolutely. And remember, AOPA does the same thing. They give away an airplane for a membership there. So go check that out. AviationCareersPodcast.com/scholarships, and Tailwind Waymakers is the coupon. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, go to AviationCareersPodcast.com, click on I want to be a guest. I have some really cool stuff coming up here. People that have changed careers, etc. I know many of you are wondering about career changes, etc. But today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's tangents. Well, and I think that a lot of people don't realize aviation entrepreneurship is something that's incredibly important. All of our new ideas come from those small businesses, and those small businesses grow into large ones, and most people are employed by those small businesses. But to get started, how do you get into this? How do you get into to entrepreneurship? Is it for you? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And what's really important in my mind is whenever you get involved in a business is to get the right help. And people ask me, why have you decided to go into a business incubator like this year, even though, this year is actually 20 years in business now for Valair Aviation. And most businesses don't make it that long. What people don't understand is every step of the way in your business, there is a point where you're going to need help. And for us, our point was we needed help growing, and that's why we're here. This is the part that I want to stress as far as bringing people into your group and having advisors, and that's why they have this Elevate, and I'll let Eric describe that later. But the most important thing is that when you get other people in a room that are like-minded and also have some great information to relay, your business will grow. And it does take a village to grow a business. And just for us alone, to give you proof of that, our business is up 4 times what it was before we moved in. So things are doing really, really well.
And I'm going to take all the credit.
I was going to say, does that mean my rent just went up? We want to talk about that. But just aviation entrepreneurship. Everybody talks about the airlines. And Eric, I think we forget that there's so many other incredible businesses out there. But how do we get started? Maybe working for a company isn't for everyone, and I'm looking for advice on how to get started. Well, we have a solution for that.
Yeah, and it just occurred to me that the last time we did a podcast, everybody who heard me realized that I was the program director at Polk State College. But since the last time we podcasted together, which has been a minute,
it sure has. So Eric,
I'm a little bit busy with the change. That's why I haven't been on the podcast in a while. So much has happened just in this last calendar year of 22. But I'm in a new role now since June of 2022 as a new executive director for the Aerospace Center for Excellence, which for those of you that aren't familiar, Aerospace Center for Excellence is the parent company of Sun and Fun, which is the big fly-in that happens every spring here in Lakeland. And for most people, you might not know that Sun and Fun is just a giant fundraiser. So that 1 week of the year funds what ACE does the other 51 weeks of the year in bringing educational programming to young people and encouraging people to get into aviation and then stay in aviation. So that's what I do. I did have, I guess somebody mentioned this because I had 2 listeners email me and say, so do you still teach there? Which is kind of an odd question, but yes, I do. So I'm still a professor at Polk State College. I don't think I could ever leave entirely because I helped start that program in 2013. I believe strongly in it. And I'm so proud of the folks who have come through that program, including the great Tyler, who helps you as well.
Absolutely.
Who we recruited from this podcast, actually.
I know. We're going to have to talk about that.
To move here from Kansas City on a dream. So, I value everything we did there, and having worked tangentially with Sun and Fun and ACE over the last 10 years, it was a really obvious move. One of the last projects I did from Polk State, which in the transition then became part of ACE, is this room in this building that we're sitting here right now called Elevate. It's an aerospace and logistics business incubator, and its function is to really help to answer that question you just asked, Carl, which is, I have this idea, how do I make it a company? Or I have a company, but how do I get to market? Or I'm at market, but I want to scale and hire employees, and how do I do that? And so for those of you that are aware or familiar, and for those of you that aren't, I'm about to tell you anyway, but the mission statement of ACE is to engage, educate, and accelerate the next generation of aerospace professionals. We engage through our programming, we educate through our programming, we accelerate through our programming, but we also accelerate folks into aviation through this program right here in Elevate. And this is the podcast studio in Elevate, which is really not. I decorated it myself. That's a lie. I did not. But I'm really happy to have it because obviously I love podcasting. You wouldn't know that because I haven't been on the show in a while. But I really do love podcasting. And I think this is an important part of sharing what we do. And so we were super thrilled that Valeri Aviation wanted to come hang out with us. Anytime I get to hang out with you is fun anyway. But and to do it in this. And so anyway, long introduction to say, how do you do that? And I think the first step, regardless of where your idea is, whether it's a company or it's already in market or whatever it is really just understanding who you want to be when you grow up. I think a lot of early entrepreneurs, and even unfortunately a lot of businesses, either plateau too early or they start to come down too early because they weren't thinking about the next step. I talked to a lot of people in this role as the chief elevator. That's what the head guy at
sounds like you're jumping into an elevator.
That I did make up on my own. So in my role as the chief elevator at Elevate, I talk to a lot of folks about entrepreneurship. I come from an entrepreneurial background myself, and uniformly, I talk to folks who are thinking about right now. They're thinking about their idea right now, or their product right now, or their company right now, and they're just trying to get over that first hump, the first hump they see. But if you've driven in the mountains or been in terrain before at all, you know that you go over a hill and you realize, oh, wait, there's another one there that I couldn't see from that side of the hill. And I think that's my message is it's great to be thinking about right now and what are you going to do in the next step. But we need to, just like pilots, right? I never take off if I only have a plan A.
Right.
I need a B, C, and a D, right? So what comes next and the next and next? And that's the foundation of your business plan. That's the foundation of the document and the process that you take to venture capital and lenders and your grandma and say, I've got this thing, but I've thought this through and I'm ready to get serious.
You know, you mentioned that, ready to get serious, and but you need some help. And one of the things that I've found, is to find people with a lot of experience in business. Most of my experience has been in the computer business and the food business, and now obviously in the aviation business. But I have always found to have like a board of advisors has been really important. But with a place like Elevate, where it's a business incubator, it's really easy to put that board of advisors together because they're already here.
Right. So part of our function as an incubator is to provide mentorship opportunities to our members that are, like I said, in all different stages of the business ecosystem. They could be brand new startup, or they could be ready to scale. Maybe it's time for succession, and I'm done with this business. I want to sell it, and I want to go and start another one. And so whatever that is, it takes a diverse group of mentors who've been through all those different steps. And so we've assembled a mentor group. Everybody starts with me. We sort of talk through your idea, vet out what you have, and let's say you've got a product and it needs to be trademarked. Well, I'm not a trademark attorney, but I know trademark attorneys, so we can help you, get you in contact, do a one-on-one handoff. So you're not just doing a Google search to try to find a patent attorney or trademark attorney. We can help you with that and get you to that place, to that right person. Through our mentor, it's our mentor network that does it. To your point earlier, it does it. If you do this right, it takes a village. You could probably figure out how to do it on your own, maybe. It's going to take longer and it's going to cost more. So this approach is, how do we do it more efficiently and how we do it more quicker? More quicker? Look, guys, I went to school in Alabama. We're going to go with more quicker. Okay.
One of the things that you brought up there, as far as people, you have this resource and people that can help you, right? The other thing I think that I think they don't stress enough here in business incubators in general is the experience you get from the other people that are within the incubator. I mean, that is actually some of the best ideas I've received have been from people that are actually in business here on site that are like, hey, why don't you try this? And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's not just necessarily the people that are here to mentor you. Your mentors come from many different angles, and it could be somebody else who is here as a tenant.
Well, sure. And, especially in an incubator that's this targeted. I mean, there are some, and we have one in downtown Lakeland, that's a general incubator. Now, they cater to food processing, and they also cater to makerspace, like building furniture and textiles and things like that. But they have general co-working on the upper floor where, anybody can come and work together. In a focused incubator like this one, the members are all already in aerospace and logistics. So like I'm working with a member right now who has this, I think, a very interesting idea for an app about transmitting NOTAM data. Well, there's lots of ways to get NOTAMs in aviation. There's lots of ways to find that information. There's lots of services, but he has a really unique take. I'm not an app developer, and I'm also not I'm not the computer guy, but a person like Carl is. So Carl's a member of the incubator, but in that situation, that maybe is beyond what maybe our mentor network is set up or purpose-built to do. It can be an introduction where I can say, hey, you need to talk to this guy, and there may be an opportunity for you guys to work together and have a conversation and grow that as a thing. So I think we have to look beyond, at least in my experience, I was under the impression that in order to start a small business, you wanted to do that in a closet with the lights off so that no one knew what you were doing. You had to be really quiet about it because somebody was just standing up there ready to steal your idea. And I'm not saying there's not untoward folks out there, but in an environment like this, part of the member agreement to join Elevate is that you can't do that. You can't. Everything that happens in here is automatically protected under the membership NDA. So you don't have to worry about, well, can we have this conversation? And if somebody did try to take your idea, first of all, they're not going to be a member anymore. And second of all, you're going to win at the end because they signed an agreement saying they wouldn't do that. So I think it's really about encouraging collaboration and maybe even non-traditional collaboration, where it may be the guy sitting next to you in the other room is the guy you need to move your idea forward.
Absolutely. I mentioned something. I said tenant, and that probably wasn't the best word to use. You used the word membership. So one of the things that I think is really neat about any incubator, and especially here, is that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get into a building, do you?
Well, yeah, we're not a landlord.
Right.
So, and the purpose of Elevate is not to make money. My goal from our membership income is to pay the power bill. If Elevate breaks even, I'm super ecstatic about that. But we also have funds set aside to provide membership scholarships for folks who have the idea, but they're not quite there on the cash flow place. We can bring them in for 1 to 3 months completely free to help them develop their idea a little bit to then find out if membership is really right for them or not. So we're really not trying to lock somebody into a year lease. Actually, you can't be in a lease here. We're not a landlord. You're a member. And so your membership, like any kind of club or organization you join, like a flying club, for example, the membership level that you're at depends on what services you get. So if you're a private office member, you get an office with a door that locks and you can put stuff in. If you're a co-working member, you come in, you can sit on the couch over here and watch Netflix while you work, and that's completely fine. But that has different levels of benefits. So regardless, everybody has 24/7 access because a lot of our folks are working. They're in a job now. And like you said before, maybe they're trying to transition into their own business. And so a lot of people do come after hours. And so the point is to make it as flexible as possible, not to follow the what I guess I'll call it old school model of you rent this office, you pay me money every month. Because the real goal is not to have a company here for long. The goal is that you come in, you get the services that you need, and then you do go become a tenant somewhere, or you need more office space because you need to hire people. We're a starting point and a transition point for businesses as well.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make. You're also a transition point because I have people that work for me in various different states, but I am here because of I need help with certain items in my business to grow.
Be honest with them, Carl. You're here because you want to see me every day.
Well, that's the other part too, and then talk about our parking, but we'll talk about that later. One of the things though that's great about being able to see guys like Eric and just all these other folks is that just saying hi, sometimes you learn something. That's for sure. But going back to what I was saying, as far as the fact that you may transition out of here, you may not transition for a long time because what happens is this: you come up with other ideas,
Yep.
and then the next idea, and the next idea, and it's something like this that actually fosters that entrepreneurial spirit. And it also, you can have different think tanks. So, for instance, having the ability to say, "Hey guys, do you mind getting together? We'll have donuts or something, and let's talk about an idea I have, and maybe you guys can give me some input." Having the ability to bring people together, I think, is really important. That's what something like this does. This is like an incubator does. And I'd love to give you some video and walkthrough here. I'll put one of those together later, but you can find out more at elevateincubator.com. We have a link in the show notes here, elevateincubator.com. Some really cool video on there. What I'll do is I'll try to do a walkthrough here, and also for those that are interested, even though the building isn't quote unquote open for Sun and Fun, we are going to have some VIP tours and meetups here at the incubator for Aviation Careers Podcast. And if you contact us in advance, we'll have you meet one of our other people, our program coordinator, Matt Len. He'll be here. He's run actually a air show down in Punta Gorda before. And also my wife will be here. There'll be a bunch of other people from the show that'll be here to visit with you. But make sure you make that appointment. But if you want to come and visit during the show, will they be able to have access to see this incubator during the show?
So partially, yeah. So during the show, it's the sort of like your blackout dates to Disney World. So during Sun and Fun Expo, Elevate, that's its blackout period. So our members can't come to work in Elevate during that week because there's just too much other stuff going on. I mean, you can't even park within, 300 yards of here. So, I mean, it's a big deal. There'll be 200,000 people here. It's a little more complicated. During the show, we'll have part of the facility cordoned off because we're going to have some of our social media people in here, and we'll have stuff around. The point being, though, if somebody's here and they want a tour, we're available to do tours. It's not scheduled, and we really, like Carl said, we're really trying to offer that to our members. If our members have folks that are going to be here and they want to see what's going on, obviously we want to show it off because Elevate's not just an in-person thing. There's a virtual membership option for Elevate as well. So if you don't live in Lakeland and you don't really need a desk here, but you still want to take advantage of the mentorship and the opportunities for growth through the incubator, there's a virtual membership option so you can, be in Phoenix, Arizona and just connect by Zoom and hang out with us.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you give a little bit of color to that because that's an important point. If like with my business, I rarely actually get to see the people that I work with. That because of Zoom, because of the fact that we have electronics and even phones, we can all connect there. So how would that benefit somebody? It's an overview. If you could give us maybe a more granular type of an example.
Sure. I mean, to use an example that's apropos for this audience, think about career coaching, right? So you don't hang out. You'd want to hang out with Carl every day, but you don't typically hang out with your career coach every day for 8 hours a day. You schedule time with that career coach to go over resume review and interview practice and things like that when you need it. So the virtual membership for Elevate basically it's reserving your ability to need the mentors, because the only people who get introduced to the mentor network here are members. Now, in saying that, again, the point was never to print our own money and become Fort Knox. It's not a for-profit entity. That's not what it does. The virtual membership is $50 a month. So I'm not asking you to auction off your kidney on eBay to be able to join Elevate. And I'll tell you, like, for some of these folks that reach out who want to join, I tell you, like, joining isn't going to be the best benefit for you. You need a one-on-one handoff, which I'm more than happy to do. There's some people are going to need 3 to 6 months worth of support. Okay, well, yeah, join. But if really what you were looking for is, should I use QuickBooks or Wave to do my accounting? We can have a 30-minute conversation on the phone about that, and I can tell you pros and cons of both, and you can make an informed decision if you just want to trust my opinion. I mean, so you don't. I think some people are afraid of virtual memberships because they're like, well, I have to join and pay them $50 so I can ask a question. That's not how it works. That's not how we work.
There's much more.
Much, much more.
Yeah.
In some cases, the answer is, membership really isn't for you. You're not going to benefit from that. And it really is. It's a one and done kind of question. But I guess that's the thing that's easiest to liken it to. Think about it, career coaching, but it's like business coaching. That's really what it is.
Absolutely. So elevateincubator.com. You can actually come visit us at Sun and Fun. I'll be at Sun and Fun Radio, but every so often I'll be over here at the incubator. March 28th through April 2nd is when Sun and Fun will be this year.
Is that when it is?
And March 20th to April 2nd. Have you heard about this show that's about to happen out here?
Is there an event? I'm not aware of that.
A couple 100,000 of our closest friends will be showing up here for a little bit of an air show. I'm very excited about that. And what's really cool, too, is most of you I've never met except right here. And that's why we've kind of switched to video is I feel like there's like a little bit more intimate type of interaction here. Plus, I find, amazingly enough, and that's something else I learned here in the incubator, is there's much more interaction on YouTube. People are more than willing to make comments. Some not so nice, but that's okay. We love comments. And
I say terrible things about you after we stop recording.
This is true. And even the stuff you put online, I delete. But
I have 8 different accounts, girl. You don't know what they all are.
Interestingly, though, if you're somebody that actually is looking to move on to the next stage in your career, and it's not the airlines, it's your own business. It could be as a flight instructor. It could be somebody selling products. It could be somebody that wants to be an aviation consultant. You can do that by getting help and the advice of other people that really understand that business that you want to get into, and they're willing to help you, and they're willing to do that right here.
And it could just be a side hustle.
It could be, and a lot of times it is.
I think a lot of people look at the entrepreneurial process as an either or. Like, I have to work for somebody or I have to work for myself. It's an either and. I have a consulting company. I do work that's not because I love entrepreneurship. I love working on projects. I love new challenges. I love my job. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do. But I've always also had a consulting company so that I could work on specialized projects along the way because I love those new challenges. It gives me excitement and I mean, let's be honest, it keeps me plugged in.
Absolutely.
You're staying plugged in, and you're learning new aspects of this business that maybe you haven't experienced before. So I wouldn't say look at it like I have to choose one or the other. And maybe you do. Maybe that's the amount of time you have and the bandwidth you have. But it doesn't have to be an either or.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, gosh, I hope this has inspired you to think about aviation entrepreneurship, whether it's a side hustle or it's going to be your main business. You can find out more about how to get started at elevateincubator.com. That's right here. You can get in touch with the
Chief Elevator.
Chief Elevator.
That was the best I could do.
Yeah, that was
I'll
pretty
come
good,
up with
Eric.
another name. That's what I put on the website. Okay.
Eric, this has been awesome being able to get you back on. I'd love to know what people think about this, the setup we have here. If you just listen to us online, you don't watch the video, please do go check out the video. You can see a little bit about Elevate. And one of the more important things I want you to do is reach out. Get started. Get started in your career. Maybe it's down the path of becoming an airline pilot. Maybe it's a flight attendant, mechanic, or maybe it's that entrepreneurial spirit is going to jump out of you and start a business. But I really encourage you to do that right now. Eric,
I was wondering if you were going to tell them to take that one step today.
I'm about to, actually.
Okay. But I haven't been on the podcast in a minute.
But one of the things that I was trying to throw him off by doing that, because I knew he knew that was coming.
I was like, come on, where's my one-liner? That's like the best part of the podcast.
And a lot of people at the end, they wait to find out where they can get those free scholarships, Aerospace scholarships.com or aviationcareersPodcast.com/scholarships. Use a coupon code Tailwind Waymakers. You can also go to aviationcareerspodcast.com/free. We have over $120 million in scholarships that's updated monthly. Thanks so much to the folks over at tailwindwaymakers.org for giving away that free airplane and also scholarships. They'll fund a whole rating, which is really, really cool. But Eric, again, thanks so much for joining us. We'll hopefully have you back on quite a few times since we're right across the street.
Well, now that we're almost roommates, we should probably do this more
Absolutely.
often.
So now I get to be honest as to why I really joined Elevate. It's because of the really cool view that I get from my office. So if you do come visit, I will say one thing. There are challenges sometimes when you have a good view. There are times I have to close the blinds to get any work done because it's just so much fun being here at Lakeland.
It's only going to get more fun leading up to the 49th Expo, man.
Absolutely. And there's so much happening in Lakeland in general.
Yep.
This really is a great spot for, aviation, logistics. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. Lakeland is the place for logistics.
It's the crossroads of Florida.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Eric. I appreciate your coming here today.
Guys.
And one thing I want you to do for me is not when we stop this video, you stop listening, is don't stop there. One thing I want you to do is, you may want to do something like look up the elevateincubator.com or possibly look into something that's relevant to your career, maybe as a flight attendant, mechanic, whatever it may be. But make sure you do something today to move forward in your career. It could be something small. It could be something big. But make sure you take one step today to move forward in your career.
There it is. Yes.
Well, folks, talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.